Melissa and welcome to my channel. I like to talk about flower farming, simple living, and finding the beauty in everyday. So if you like those things, you can subscribe and stick around. Today I'm going to be talking about 7 things that normal people do that I do not do. I just want to preface by saying that because I don't personally do these things does not make me think I'm somehow better than you. These are just the things that I have found my life is so much better without. And maybe you can just learn something from it too. Number 1 is that I do not watch TV/shows. And this is not a popular opinion, especially in today's day and age. Everyone has their favorite show, everyone binge watches their show, etc. That is just not something that has ever resonated with me. The big reason why that is that I want to get to the end of my life and be able to look back on it and say that I spent my years the best that I could. And I don't think if I look back when I'm like 90, I'll be like, yes, I am so glad that I spent 20 hours a week binge watching TV shows. Like, no, I want to look back and be like, I explored beautiful places. I spent time with people I love. I made art that is going to last through generations. I wrote poems that my family could treasure for years to come. Like, those are the things that I want to invest my time in. And I'm not saying that I don't watch a movie. Like, I watch movies. But even those, I'm not a big movie person. It's just that I enjoy so many other things more. And I feel like we have so much pressure from society to like the things that everyone else likes. And that's just not for me. Number 2 is that I do not drink alcohol, and I never have. And when I say never, I mean never. Like, I've never had a drink. Most people don't believe me when I say that. I have a lot of reasons for this, and I'll just go through them really quickly because I'm very passionate about this and I could make a whole video on it, but I'm not going to. The first reason is I'm just a nonconformist. I do not like doing things the way other people do them. I don't like following a trend just because everyone else is doing it. I like to live my life the way that I want to live it, and so I see my not drinking as one of those things. And another one of my reasons is you never know if you could become an alcoholic. And this may sound extreme, but hear me out. Alcoholism runs in families, and both of my great-grandfathers were alcoholics. And you never know if that's going to be you. And also part of that, I had somebody that I loved dearly that was an alcoholic. And I had to personally go through that with them. And that whole experience changed my life. Literally, it changed me. Having to see someone like that and just being there with them through that, it was horrible. I would never want to risk that. What if I was that person? What if I was the one who was trapped in addiction? And I just don't want to do that to somebody I love because I know what it did to me, and I would never want to do that to somebody else. And my last reason for not drinking is I'm a Christian. And while I don't believe that all Christians shouldn't drink, I do believe that Christians should not be getting drunk all the time. And there's verses, and the one that comes to mind for me is Ephesians 5:18 says, "Do not be drunk with wine, but be filled with the Holy Spirit." And I just don't think there's any more clear instruction than that. And number 3 is that I don't use TikTok anymore. So this is only recent. I have been on and off the app for years now. But I realized that I just don't feel good when I use TikTok. I found that I fall more into comparison traps than I do with other social medias. And I don't know why that is. And also, I hate how you look up a topic once or like a video on a topic, and then they think that's all you want to see. And I just found it wasn't healthy for me when it came to just areas of my mental health. I'd be like, this is not helping me right now. And so I decided to finally get rid of it. Number 4 is that I don't wear perfume, and I never plan to. So I will add commercial, normal, like Victoria's Secret perfume. The reason for this is I'm onto clean living and clean products, and the research now that is out on toxic products and what they do to our bodies terrifies me. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but there's an app called EWG, which stands for the Environmental Working Group. And on this app, you can look up different products to see how toxic they are for your body, for the environment, etc. and then you can base what you buy off of that. You look up almost any perfume, the score on how toxic they are is literally terrifying. And I just will not put that on my body. Not only do I think they're bad for me and everyone and the planet, but I also just hate strong smells. I don't like them on myself. I don't like them on other people. I also hate what perfume has become. It's just like people just douse themselves in it. And I actually used to rent from this older woman, and she told me something really interesting that I never knew. Apparently, in years and decades, maybe even centuries ago, people wore perfume in minuscule amounts so that they had a personal scent. Only the people that knew them most knew what that scent was, because they would only smell it if they were very close to them, if they hugged them, if they were sitting next to them. And so it was like this special thing. And now people just drown themselves in it, and I just hate that. Number 5 is I do not ever plan on altering my body in an unnatural way. What I mean by that is things like fillers, Botox, boob jobs, etc. For some reason, this generation, like my generation, seems to just be obsessed with these things. What are you doing? Like, I just do not think that's natural. I think we should not be pumping our bodies with all these artificial things. When there's a foreign substance / object in our body tries to remove that thing. I cannot fathom what the potential health consequences could be in 10, 20 years for the people that are getting all of these things done. There's starting to be more and more evidence for this, and one of my favorite podcasts talked about it recently, the Dr. Josh Axe show. He did a whole episode on this and the illnesses that are coming from women who are having these kinds of procedures done. And if you're interested, you should totally go listen to it, because he's much more qualified to discuss these kinds of things than I am. And number 6 is I do not drink coffee, and I never want to function off of caffeine. In our society, everyone functions off of caffeine. I used to work at this job, worst job of my life, but that's another talk for another day. The people at this job, they would literally function off of coffee. And it was not just like people who have a couple cups of coffee in a day to feel more awake. These people, because of it was in the fitness industry, and they had to get up at 3 something every single day to teach 5 a.m. classes. By like noon, they would have drank like at least 2, if not 3, medium to large coffees. And then they would just continue that throughout the day. And they would literally be like, I couldn't function. I'm like, my heart would explode. I never want to be that person. I've also heard in other cultures, they're more rested. They take better care of themselves. They have a slower pace of life. And in those cultures, they drink coffee simply because they love it. Like, they don't drink coffee for the caffeine. If I ever was to start drinking coffee, I think that I would have that view of it. I would want it as this treat. I just think that if we are taking care of our bodies and getting enough rest and eating well and exercising, that we should not have to live off of caffeine. Number 7 is I do not watch the news. It just works better for me. A lot of people could say that I'm ignorant or want to live in a bubble. That's valid. But I saw what listening to the news did to me in the short period of time that I did during the height of the pandemic. I cannot believe how much more anxiety and stress it caused me. There's a well-known quote that says something like, "You are not meant to hear a tree fall on the other side of the forest." And this perfectly captures how I feel about listening to the news. We know things that are happening a million miles from where we are. And all it does is instill this fear and dread and anxiety. I don't think we were made to have to take all of that in 24/7. Yes, we need to follow global events and know what's going on in the world. The news is not actual news most of the time. It's just what these companies have decided to make the news and how to portray it in a way to get across something they want you to think. That brings me to the end of my list. I feel really passionate about a lot of these things, and I could talk about each of them forever, so this video will probably be long enough as it is. But if you enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe, and you can also follow my Instagram if you want to follow along more of my life. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.